Here's a video I've been wanting to check out. Why MMO Ashes of Creation has potential. Nice gaming. Let's see what he has to say.
I am often asked, why Ashes of Creation? Why the hype? Why?
I'm going to tell you, like, I don't know what he's going to say in this video, but this is what I'm going to say as to why I am excited for Ashes of Creation. So recently we did a stream where we basically went through a bunch of upcoming MMOs, right? And every MMO from Korea, even though they looked good, you've got this lingering worry that it doesn't matter how good it's going to be because it could easily be ruined by pay to win. So basically all Korean MMOs are never going to reach their potential because the way they're designed compromises the game's potential due to their business model. So what makes a good MMO, in my opinion? Good combat, not pay to win. These are like two non-negotiables. And these two non-negotiables Ashes of Creation has. I think the combat's very good, and I know it's not going to be pay to win. So those two things alone, if you ignore everything else, that would already make it like a top 5 MMO for me, like guaranteed. So we'll see what happens with the rest of development. But I think that alone means it's got massive potential. But let's see what Nice has to say.
Make it essentially the main focus of your channel. Why is it taking so long? Why open development? Why the risk versus reward? And why do some feel it could eventually be one of the best MMORPGs of the recent?
Holy, bro's floating through the world on the barge doing some kind of floaty jump technique. That's cool. Is that a bug or is that part of the class?
Era. So, hello gamers, it's Nice, and I hope all of you high mobility bards are having a nice day. Today, we will be discussing per usual the upcoming MMORPG, Ashes of Creation, but discussing why it has garnered so much hype and why, or why not, it will succeed in finding its place among the titans of the genre. We also have a great question from our recent stream to discuss, but before we get into that, make sure you're subscribed. I truly appreciate all the support as we just hit another milestone, and I know what all of you are thinking as you watch this video. What does this guy know? He only has 17k subs.
But Sawman also has 17,000 subs, so you know, what does he know?
Like and subscribe.
MMO Ashes of Creation has quite the timeline, which we covered in a recent video. Over the course of this development, the project has garnered a lot of hype and continues to do so. What makes this impressive is the developer Intrepid Studios doesn't spend any money on marketing and essentially has been carried solely by word of mouth.
That's true, yeah. I guess like the people that cover the game, they're genuinely excited about it, so there's that. Although I suppose with pretty much every MMO, if you show enough, that is one of the benefits of open development. Like if Chrono Odyssey wanted to go open development, they wouldn't have to spend any money on marketing. People would cover it for free as well. So
content creators and interviews conducted by Steven Sharif himself. Whether it be large channels acknowledging the game or creators past or present whom dedicated all of their content to Ashes of Creation, the word quickly got out. Some can attribute finding out about the game from the Kickstarter, but most will likely tell you that they watched a Lazy Peon video, an Asmongold video, a Narc video, or maybe a Pirate Software video. The game, even before its current Alpha 2 phase was even playable,
we got mentioned,
amassed quite a large following and community that is still growing each day. You see, Ashes of Creation, while taking a lot of inspiration from previous MMOs, does also bring a lot of innovation too. I won't detail it too much here as I've done so too much in previous videos, but there is a lot promised when it comes to systems and design. You have the unique node system, node wars, node sieges, animal husbandry, the 64 class system, large-scale PvP, guilds, guild wars, artisanship, naval content, localized economies, dungeons, world bosses, and then you have all this on.
Yeah, when you list out all of the features that the game's going to have, it sounds insanely ambitious. And sometimes I do see in the comments of my YouTube videos that people say, I don't understand the hype of this game, it's offering nothing new. But the node system is pretty new. It's like fundamentally very unique. And if it works, if they can get it all working, it does present some very unique gameplay for every server. Like every server will be different. It's like hundreds of different possibilities and progression paths that a server could take. I'm intrigued to see if it can work out.
On a large dynamic world map that responds to player activity, making the world, not the player, the focus of this MMO. While the MMO promises us...
Yeah, that's a big thing that appeals to me. I don't like MMOs where the player is the focus. I don't know if just like that's the way my brain's wired, but if the player is like the hero of the story, I hate that. I hate that in every game. I don't like story-driven games with lots of cutscenes where you follow a linear story. I like to, in my mind, make my own roleplay story for my character and know that it's different. I know some people are the complete opposite, and I think that's just fundamentally that our brains are wired differently. But this style of MMO where the world is the main character, I really like that. I think that's almost the difference between modern WoW and classic WoW. In classic WoW, it felt like the world was the main character. As a player in the story, you was way less important. You was just an adventurer going from town to town, doing various different jobs. And it, from an RP perspective, it just felt more immersive. It felt more like you're an adventurer. Same thing with RuneScape, really.
The moon and the stars, it still has a lot left to deliver on, as it's still a work in progress. Even with that being the case, there is actually a large portion of gamers who log onto this alpha test daily and play it as their main MMO. As I mentioned earlier, I'm often asked, is this MMO better than its competition? And well, here's my response. You think Ashes so far is the best MMORPG I played so far? No. No. So I know this is going to sound crazy.
That's quite a common sense response. People complain about Ashes of Creation content creators and say that they're like zealots for the game and they're unhinged, but I mean, that was a reasonable response.
As a person who's maining this alpha and a main content creator for this project, but I will not say it is the best MMORPG I've played so far. There's so many MMOs, whether you like them or not, that have more content. This is very rough, early stages alpha. What's important, or what's possible to say, is Ashes of Creation the worst MMO you've played so far? I wouldn't say that either. But what's important to say, and what it can be, and something that I've been on the record saying, is I haven't had as much fun as I've been playing Ashes of Creation than some games that are fully released. Ashes of Creation can be the most fun MMO you've played. You can enjoy Ashes of Creation more than your other modern MMOs. And that's because of the social aspects. That's because you see the vision. Now, the thing is, can Ashes of Creation be the best MMORPG I played? Oh, definitely. Give it some time. Give it some content.
Yeah, based response. I guess the guy that asked him the question, it's a bit of an unfair question, really, because you're comparing finished games to an unfinished game. Of course, the finished games should be better than the unfinished game. So
let some things be ironed out. Let some bugs be fixed, and it can definitely be that. Is it that right now? Is this World of Warcraft? No, of course not. And it shouldn't be World of Warcraft at this state. Does it? If it sticks to its plan, sticks to its vision, and listen to feedback, can it rival, keyword rival, I didn't say kill, can it rival and live side by side the World of Warcrafts, the Final Fantasy XIVs of the world? Yes, it can. While there is a lot of hype for Ashes of Creation,
that's a good response. I like the way he answered that.
And it's still early in development, there is a lot of critiques and guesses on where it will land come launch. There are some who somehow still feel the game is a scam that'll never release, weirdly enough, making it the worst scam ever with how much money Steven has put into the project. There are some that still feels it, just has taken way too long and won't see release until 2035. Then there's just some who have what some will consider just reasonable criticisms, concerns, and opinions, such as it can't succeed being a game unapologetically not for everyone. Will it have enough funding until launch? How much will Intrepid have to adjust from having a PVX and such a PvP-minded and focused game with an abundant amount of risk versus reward everywhere you turn? As someone who regularly checks the comments of their Ashes of Creation videos, I will say that I've read both every reasonable take and every unhinged take there is on this Kickstarter MMO.
Same. Comments are all over the place whenever you do any video on Ashes of Creation. Everything that can be said will be said.
And Kickstarter MMOs already have a bad rep, right? Like, if I had $1 for every Star Citizen joke in my comment section, I could probably retire.
I mean, if you think it's bad being an Ashes of Creation content creator, yeah, imagine being a Star Citizen content creator. I bet that's even worse. Because that game, I still don't think that actually has a release date on the horizon, right? Like genuinely, that's miles away from being completed, as far as I'm aware. I know you can play it like in testing. But at least Ashes, I do think it is on the horizon in the next few years.
By the way, get this video to 300 likes and I'll do a Star Citizen video. Why not? But anyways, as far as upcoming MMOs that we actually have gameplay footage for, there's really not too many MMOs at the level of hype and ambition as Ashes of Creation, but there is still some good MMOs on the horizon nonetheless. I'm a firm believer that even with how niche and hardcore this game may come off, it will find its audience and can have a thriving, record-breaking launch if done right. I had the opportunity to interview Steven Sharif and I asked him about this. Okay, so could you foresee Ashes of Creation releasing to the biggest MMORPG launch that we've had recently, like the last 10 years, like breaking record numbers?
Oh, of course, absolutely. I think when we are ready to launch, and I've said this in the past, I believe we are going to be one of the largest MMOs to launch. Do I believe that Alpha 2 is that? No, I do not. Do I believe that that this phase is, that it should be misconstrued with some business goals? They're not. This phase is about development goals. This phase is about stability, performance, and making sure we can find the fun in the gameplay loops. So, it's not about churning through content. It's not about, having a very high retention amongst the players who are participating in early Alpha 2 as testers. It is about ensuring that we have the necessary involvement from our core audience in order for us to test the systems we've built, to test the services that we've built, and to iterate on the loops that we intend to provide as our core gameplay loops.
As I've mentioned before, while the project, in my opinion, does not in its current form
Will Ashes be one of the biggest MMORPGs to launch when it eventually comes out? I think so, because there's so many massive content creators and streamers that are waiting for it. When it eventually releases, Asmongold's going to jump on it, Shroud will probably play it, Summit will play it. Pretty much every big streamer's going to be on it. So the hype from that alone, you can just see everyone's just going to be jumping on it. It will be one of the biggest MMO releases in years. And with the game's combat system and it not being pay to win, I feel like a lot of people will want to check it out. Will those people stick around? I think a lot of people probably won't like the whole sandboxy elements to it. It's not your typical World of Warcraft style game. A lot of people, maybe they're already invested in their other MMOs. But I think a lot of the people that are MMO homeless will definitely are more likely to stick around. Yeah, Ashes is very niche, and additionally, I suppose it's also hard to say how things are gonna go for the full launch, because the full questing experience isn't implemented into the game yet. If the game was to launch with a questing experience remotely similar to what it is at the moment, people would just be put off by the whole grinding aspect. So we'll see what leveling's like.
rival most fully released MMOs, it is still possible to have fun with it. Plus, it's really an unfair comparison in the first place to compare a true alpha, not early access, but a true alpha, to a fully released product, any fully released MMO out there. Like someone who checks in on Ashes of Creation today from the first time since like 2020, they may not be as impressed with Ashes of Creation as they are with their current MMO, but the developers at Intrepid Studio have shown a lot of passion towards fulfilling an amazing vision while showing progress month by month. There's not
True, to be fair, the progress they show is pretty substantial. Would you say it's realistic to say that Ashes will launch in 2027? If it does, it'll be the end of 2027. Maybe.
too many MMOs that scratch that itch for me, you know? Everyone has different things they want from an MMO. For me, it's social aspects and systems as well as PvP. Plus, I feel this is among the most ambitious visions in gaming, much less visions in MMOs. While I feel the project deserves its hype, it has quite a long way to go, and I'm curious on what Alpha 2 will look like 6 to 7 months from now. If you want to follow that journey with me, be sure to subscribe. Thank you once again to all of our supporters. Please click the like button if you like the video, as it helps others to find it. Appreciate all of you who decide to become YouTube channel members, Twitch followers, subs on Twitch, Patreon, and more. Provide your feedback and make sure you're subscribed for the next one. Comment your thoughts regarding the hype around Ashes of Creation and if you're enjoying it. What made you choose Ashes of Creation? Thank you so much for watching. It's been nice.
This was a good video, a very reasonable video. And I like that when he was asked, is this the best MMO you've ever played? He said no. Of course it's not, because it's not released. Very reasonable thing to say. Links in the chat, go give it a like. Nice gaming. He's got a lot of Ashes content. I think he's becoming one of the main content creators for Ashes in recent times. Oh, and we've also got the Rogue coming out very soon, so maybe next month or so we'll be testing the Rogue in Ashes. Looking forward to it. Wonder what the best MMO is to him. Yeah, maybe, I'm not sure. Let's see what else he covers. He might just be MMO homeless. Old ESO by the looks of it. ESO, New World. Yeah, similar kind of games. I'd like to try Ashes without paying $100 personally. Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. I think a lot of people want to play Ashes, but they absolutely hate the $100 barrier to entry, which is completely fair. It's a lot of money to pay for testing, isn't it? But to be fair, with the Ashes of Creation pricing, I think the reason why it has to be expensive is because back when they did the Kickstarter for the game, all of the early testing packs were very expensive. This was years ago. And by making it free, you'd basically be screwing over the people that paid a lot of money for the Kickstarter for certain testing periods. I think that's the logic behind it. Like, it does get cheaper over time, so maybe in the beta, it'll come down even more.